Chapter 1. The Paper Bride. My grandfather, Hu Guohua, hailed from a family of renowned landlords in the region. At their zenith, they owned over 40 connected residences in 3 alleys of the city. Some of our ancestors held official positions and were successful in business, contributing significantly during the Qing dynasty. However, there's an old saying, "Wealth does not pass 3 generations," which held true for our family. Despite the family's immense wealth, the prodigal descendants squandered it all. By the time of the Republic of China, our family's fortunes had dwindled. My grandfather, inheriting a substantial part of the wealth, could have led a comfortable life. Yet, he chose a path of indulgence. His addiction to gambling and opium eventually led to the loss of his entire fortune. In his youth, Hu Guohua indulged in all vices imaginable. Eventually, he became so impoverished that he couldn't even afford opium. Those who once treated him with utmost respect in the opium dens now scorned him as a penniless beggar. Driven to desperation, he concocted a plan to deceive his uncle for money. Knowing his nephew's notoriety, the uncle refused to lend him money. However, when Hu Guohua lied about needing funds to marry, his uncle, moved by the prospect of his wayward nephew settling down, gave him 20 silver dollars, advising him to abandon opium and inviting himself over to meet the bride-to-be. To deceive his uncle, Hu Guohua commissioned a local craftsman, skilled in making paper effigies for the dead, to create a paper woman. The craftsman's skill was such that the paper figure, adorned with painted facial features and clothes, looked almost lifelike from a distance. Hu Guohua placed the paper figure in his bed, covered it with a blanket, and planned to excuse his ill wife from meeting visitors. However, when his uncle insisted on seeing the bride, a woman, pale and seemingly alive, greeted him. She apologized for her earlier absence, attributing it to ill health, which miraculously improved, and invited the uncle to stay for a meal. The uncle, delighted with the seemingly virtuous and auspicious appearance of his nephew's wife, rewarded Hu Guohua with 10 more silver dollars. But Hu Guohua was confused and fearful about the paper figure coming to life. After an uneasy dinner, where the uncle remained oblivious to the unnatural appearance of the woman, Hu Guohua sent his uncle home and spent the night in the city indulging in his vices, spending the money he had just received. Returning home, broke and destitute, Hu Guohua was confronted with the eerie sight of the paper figure lying motionless in his bed, as if none of the day's bizarre events had occurred. Fearful of the paper figure coming to life again, he decided to burn it. As he prepared to set it aflame, the paper figure startlingly spoke, chastising him for his ingratitude. She revealed herself as a ghost, pitying his debauched yet not entirely wicked heart, and proposed marriage, promising him wealth from her own lavish burial. Hu Guohua, though momentarily tempted by the prospect of wealth, remembered tales of malevolent female spirits draining men's vitality. He refused the ghost's proposal, citing the insurmountable divide between the living and the dead. The paper figure, accepting his decision, warned him of future regret. She told him of her unmarked grave filled with treasures in a desolate cemetery at Shisanlipu, available to him should his desperation grow. After her departure, Hu Guohua, gathering his courage, burned the paper figure to ashes. In the following years, as poverty struck him hard, he considered robbing the ghost's grave, but always refrained. Finally, driven to utter desperation, he ventured to the cemetery, but that story is for another time.